What is up, enthusiasts? It is Cedar Flags here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. So today, we are going to be talking about roller coasters like we always do. We add roller coasters to lists, say a roller coaster is our favorite, and we will have different opinions. But all roller coasters have to come to an end. When you're on a roller coaster, it is eventually going to have an ending, a finale, a course that leads to the final brake run, and a moment where you'll have to get back in line. And though while we're on a roller coaster, we're not thinking about getting off the ride, I want to talk today about roller coaster finales. What roller coaster has the best finale? So what do I mean by finale? Well, the last few elements before the final brake run. And chances are, these moments are going to be one of the first things you think about upon that final brake run, and is going to be the final impression that that roller coaster leaves for you. You could ride a roller coaster with some great moments, but a bad second half, and it could tank the ride's ranking for you. So that is why a finale is important. A ride has to go out with a bang, and today, we are going to be looking at the best examples that I have personally been on. So, going from laterals, to airtime, to inversions, let's talk about my favorites. This is Cedar Flags, and today, we are going to be talking about my favorite roller coaster finales. So like I said, I'm only going to be basing it off of the last few elements before the final brake run. I don't have a set time of how many seconds it has to be before the end of the ride. This is kind of informal when it comes to that. We are just going to be focusing on the last set of elements before the end. The first ride I want to look at is Monster at Adventureland in Altoona, Iowa. This is near Des Moines, and this ride is definitely the star at its park. This ride starts you off with an incredible first drop and sends you through some incredible inversions throughout this layout. It's a very long ride, and every element packs something different. But one of the best parts of this ride is definitely the finale. First off, you go into this weird overbank stangle dive-like element, which provides some of the weirdest, most abnormal hang time I have ever experienced. Now there is a trim brake on this element, but for some reason, it actually benefits the ride's layout. It adds on to the hang time, and you feel like you are crawling at the top of that element at less than 10 miles an hour. After that incredible moment, you go into another great hang time moment with the final corkscrew. Once again, you are hanging there for a few seconds, and then after that, you go into an airtime pop that leads into the final brake run. This ride is incredible, but like I said, this finale definitely stayed in my mind. Though there are many other inversions on this ride, those final two specifically absolutely rock. Next, I want to go to a general category of Aero and Morgan hypers. So these rides are all over the place, from Magnum XL200 to Wild Thing to Phantom's Revenge. Like I said, we are talking about both of these. Now, why am I lumping both of these into a category for this video? Well, simple. The finales of these rides are low to the ground airtime moments, from Magnum XL200 to Phantom's Revenge, all the way to Wild One. I have gotten to ride a decent amount of these, and I would have to say that my three favorites are the ones with the three best finales. So let's get to that right now. The first one I want to talk about is Magnum XL200. Though it is the least out of these three I'm going to mention, this finale is still incredible. After a great first half of good sustained ejector airtime moments, you get some crazy up and down ejector moments throughout the second half. The triangular shaped hills will guarantee you to be thrown up into your lap bar and slam back down once you reach the bottom of the next hill. This part of the ride also includes an incredible looking tunnel with some great effects, and more airtime where that came from. But getting more into the Morgan hypers, we are going to talk about Phantom's Revenge at Kennywood. This ride has one of the greatest finales on any coaster in the state. Though the first half of this ride has long drawn out elements, the second half of this ride has very tight low to the ground ejector airtime moments that go around Lost Kennywood and Black Widow. The finale starts with a helix that goes around the turtle attraction, and then you violently pop into a handful of great ejector airtime moments, including a double down and a low to the ground turn. These ejector moments truly fly you out of your seat, and with those minimalist restraints, you will get even more airtime than the average roller coaster train. And though I like Phantom's Revenge more than a ride like Mamba at Worlds of Fun, I think Mamba has the best finale out of these three. Now, keep in mind, I got to ride Mamba with very little trims. Though this entire ride is full of airtime, this finale has some very strong ejector that had me flying up and down for seconds at a time. Now, I have heard that if this ride runs with stronger brakes, it is not as powerful, very similar to how I experienced rides like Wild Thing and Steel Force. When I got to ride it, the finale was incredible. For our next coaster, I want to go to Storm Chaser at Kentucky Kingdom in Louisville, Kentucky. This ride, along with its other rides in the park, provides some great airtime. But what separates Storm Chaser from the rest is its finale. Its second half provides some of the most violent, well-paced ejector airtime on the planet. After that final inversion, you go into a massive trick-track double-up, which will give you some of the strongest, sharpest, and most unorthodox airtime you could experience on a ride. At the time, this was RMC's first of these elements, and it truly wowed everyone upon opening. And when I got to ride this first in 2021, I was still amazed. And after that double up, you go into another set of elements, a double down. And this double down is just as intense, if not more intense, than that previous double up. These 4 elements in a row absolutely kill your thighs, but in the best way possible. Going from airtime to inversions, I want to talk about Altier at Cinecittà World in Rome, Italy. Now, I got to ride this earlier this year, but this will apply for all of the modern 10 inversion coasters with lap bars, as they are basically the same. And these lap bars make the finale that much better. The finale consists of 5 different inversions. First off, that iconic quad heartline roll that will take you into a dizzying set of hang time moments. Honestly, this quad heartline roll is my favorite set of inversions of all time. You basically get 4 Mosasaurus rolls directly in a row. And honestly, I think it felt just as crazy, but over and over and over again. After that quad heartline roll, the ride is not over, as you get to go into a left-hand turn into one more slow inversion, that once again provides incredible hang time. Up next, we go to Air Force 1, and very similar to Altier, this ride has a quad moment, but not an inversion. This ride has a quad down, and that is the finale I'm going to be focusing on for Air Force. Very similar to the rest of the rides on this list, this ride has a lot of pros going to it. From the beginning to the very end, this ride is non-stop. A moment that many people remember is the quad down. This is a very tight, fast-paced, and very strong on your thighs moment. In my opinion, this was like the moment that I mentioned before on Storm Chaser, but cranked up times 5. From that final inversion on, you get nothing but rapid-fire airtime moments right until the final brake run, totaling at a total airtime count of 6 for that finale. Going from one RMC to another, we go to Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. Now, this finale has been talked about a lot, similar to the last one, but I want to talk about what I like about it most. Basically, this airtime-filled layout ends with an airtime-filled ending. But this airtime-filled finale has got to be one of the highlights of the ride for me, as it starts off with a very untraditional axis unbanked airtime hill, and then heads into a series of low-to-the-ground camelbacks that will for sure have you flying out of your seat in a violent motion. This repeats until the final brake run. With that switch of direction, you really don't know where you are for a few seconds, and you just realize that you rode one of the greatest roller coasters of all time. Staying in the same state of Ohio, we go to the Beast at Kings Island. Now, this is one of those rides that doesn't provide too many extremely powerful forces, but at the same time, it ranks just as high on many people's lists because of its incredible environment and that final helix. You go up a second lift hill, make a left-hand turn, and go into a partially covered helix. And this helix has got to be one of the greatest I have ever experienced. You get a decent combination of laterals and positives, and you really don't know what direction you're going until you emerge from that tunnel. Plus, if you're riding this at night, you get that added darkness to the ride, but even during the day, this finale is incredible. Going back into Georgia, we are going to be talking about Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia. This is my favorite B&M that I have ridden, including rides like Fury, Diamondback, and Orion. Now, why is that? Honestly, I think its main reason is its airtime-filled finale. It's basically Fury's finale, but overpowered. Let me explain. After a right-hand overbank turn after an incredible helix, you get a series of ejector airtime moments that will have you flying out of your seat for multiple seconds at a time. I think this is a prime example of flow ejector airtime. It truly is non-stop from that overbank to the final brake run. You will be going out of your seat just like an RMC. It honestly feels like a more gentle but sustained version of Air Force's finale, and I honestly couldn't figure out which one I liked more. So, like I said, this whole list is unranked, but this next finale, the final one I'm going to be talking about, is easily my favorite of all time. And that is because of its variety, and the fact that it packs everything that I mentioned in the previous finales into one. This is Velocicoaster at Islands of Adventure. If you've ridden this before, you know how incredible this layout is, from the beginning all the way to its second launch, and then its finale. Now, a lot of people talk about the Mosasaurus roll, and this is included, but I'm going to go a step further. I would say everything from that overbank turn onto the final brake run is considered the finale, right over the water, and you get some incredible moments. You get that first airtime bump that is over the water, right into the Mosasaurus roll, and like I said, you get great hang time and forces with that too. You get a great off-axis airtime moment that provides some nice positives, airtime and laterals at the same time, and then final pop into the brake run. And if you didn't want to get right back on that ride then, well, you wanted to get back on that ride now. So that finale really seals the deal for me, and that finale is still my favorite to this day. Now keep in mind these are all just roller coasters that I have been on, so if you've been on a roller coaster finale that I have not gotten to experience, let me know in the comments below. Anyways, this is Cedar Flags, and I will see you all later.